What's up, everyone? I'm here today with a video that is right up the alley of the bread and butter type of content that I want this channel to ultimately become. I break from these videos because when you don't have an audience, they really don't get much traction. But I have to test the waters every now and then and see if people are receptive or not. And then I just keep doing shoe reviews, grow my audience, and eventually people will start paying attention to these videos. What prompted this one in particular is I received a flyer in the mail. I'm not gonna show it because it'll reveal where I live, but it's the type of thing you typically throw out. It's from a realtor. This one caught my attention because one of the things that it says is, how much did your house earn for you in 2021? In your neighborhood, the average increase per week was $14,815. That's per week for an entire year, all of 2021. That is crazy. That is big time equity being generated for me, with me essentially doing nothing but sitting on my property. And as amazing as that is, and as little effort as I have to put in at the moment, I will say that it was by design on my part, and it did take effort. And there are steps that I took that put me in this position that I think would be beneficial to share with you, and that's what I want to do here. So this video is going to try to be short and sweet about 5 things I can think of off the top of my head, where if you're starting off your career, interested in real estate, trying to figure out what to buy, where to buy, how to buy, these tips I think will come in very handy. All right, so first thing is I want to explain that if you see my other videos and you see all of the stuff that I purchase, at this point, it's very difficult for me to outspend the positive equity and net worth asset growth that I generate month to month, year after year, with all of these purchases of sneakers and clothing and cars and motorcycles and whatnot. At this point, it's effectively in the noise for me, but it wasn't always that way. There was a point in time where I legitimately budgeted $10 a day for food. And might be hard to imagine, especially with inflation these days, but even, I guess that was 10, 15 years ago, it was still a hard thing to accomplish. Definitely one of the things that put me in the financially sound position that I'm in now was buying my current house. It is our second house. Our first house purchase was particularly bad. I've got another video on my channel that goes through all that, and I'll probably make shorter videos to describe that at some point. But the second purchase has been absolutely amazing. We purchased the house for about $1.6 million. It's currently worth about $3.7, and it's been about 8 years. If I were looking for a home as an entry-level buyer, here are 5 things that I would do to set yourself up for the future. The first thing, figure out what you personally need and want. Do you want a single-family home? Do you want a short commute? What is your budget? Is there anything out there that fits your criteria within the parameters right now, or do you need to budget and save to get what you want? This is a very interesting one for me personally. I live in the heart of Silicon Valley. For my first home, I wanted a single family home with detached walls, mainly because I like to stay up late, I like to listen to loud music, I like to watch movies on blast, and I didn't want a neighbor next door getting mad at me, and I didn't want a neighbor next door that was just like me doing the same thing, annoying me. So a townhouse, a condo was out of the question for me. As a result, I was forced to move further away from my work. I purchased a house in San Jose for about $600,000. I could have purchased a townhome in Mountain View for the same price, but it would have meant having attached walls. Now, if money were the only thing that mattered, the Mountain View home has done much better than the San Jose home. But I would have been forced to live for years under conditions that I would not have found favorable to me, and it would have annoyed me every single day. So, step one, buy what you want and that you're comfortable with, where the compromises work to what you want for yourself. Don't be thinking about your home purchase primarily as solely an investment. That having been said, it would be foolish not to look at the financial aspects of a home purchase and try to optimize them in whatever ways work to your favor while still suiting your needs. Tip 2, clean up your finances. You need the best credit score possible to get the best interest rate possible. Typically, I would say over 720 is usually the threshold to get the best interest rate, but the higher the better. This means carry low balances on credit card debt, pay off all your bills on time, do whatever it takes to get your credit clean before trying to take out a home loan, because when you take out the home loan, that's basically 30 years that you're locking yourself into. You want the best parameters you can get going in. Beyond that, and this is one area that's often very overlooked, is eliminating debt before you make a home purchase to maximize your purchasing power. Probably one of the most overlooked things is a car note. A lot of people have cars on loans when they purchase a home, and that really inhibits your ability to increase your purchasing power if you're trying to buy the most house you can afford for your first purchase. And this is especially important in an area like Silicon Valley, where everything is very expensive, and especially if it's your first home purchase, it can be very difficult to get your foot in the door. So let me give you a concrete example of what I'm talking about here. Typically, banks will loan out to a 45% debt to income ratio. That means if you make $100,000 a year, they will let you spend up to $45,000 a year towards your home, inclusive of property tax, principal, and interest. So let's look at what that can get you with a 3.5% interest rate, which is pretty standard today. So you take $45,000, you divide it by 12, that gets you a per month of $37.50 that you can spend towards your house. Now, property tax takes up a certain amount, but just for sake of discussion and illustration here, let's spend up to that $37.50 and see how much of a home we can afford. Okay, so using a mortgage calculator, 30 years at 3.5%, on a $100,000 income, you can afford approximately an $830,000 home with a 45% debt to income ratio. Now, here's the problem. What happens if you have a $500 car note? That goes against your debt to income ratio. that would take your spending power from $37.50 a month to $32.50 a month. And if you were to purchase a home at $32.50 a month, that would decrease your purchasing power to about $720,000. Your car note at $500 a month would cost you $110,000 in purchasing power for your new home. So, clean up your debt before you make your home purchase if you're trying to purchase as much as you possibly can. Tip 3. You've heard the mantra, location, location, location. It is absolutely 100% accurate. Buy what you want in the best location you can possibly find. It will pay dividends for you from the day you walk in the door to forevermore. As an example, living in Silicon Valley, I live basically in the heart of it. I had to seriously overpay relative to similar homes in other far out areas such as the East Bay. Every single day driving into work, I saved on my commute an hour and a half, 2 hours, multiply by 2 every day. And in the end, I had far greater appreciation on my home than I would have achieved had I purchased one of those other homes. Location is one of the most important factors. I cannot overstate it. It is accurate. Tip 4, buy value. Land is the most obvious example of this. You can always rebuild a home. They're not making any more land. If you can't buy land, you can still buy value by buying a home where it's got good bones and the potential to renovate versus something that's built brand new. You're effectively buying the ability to generate equity in the future when you do that, versus using all your equity to purchase something new that will lose value as it ages over time. You want to put yourself in a good position long term. With our house purchase, we absolutely did this. Our house was unlivable. Half of it was completely unlivable. It's a 2,500 square foot house, and the upstairs portion of it was not occupiable. We lived in the downstairs for a year and a half to 2 years until we had the funds to renovate the upstairs. And by doing so, we basically generated equity in our house ourselves. Another benefit of that is you'll also save on property tax in perpetuity because you purchase something at a devalued price and you can generate equity in it without increasing the tax basis if all you're doing is renovating. Last tip, buy something that makes a good rental and keep it forever, especially if you're in a state that offers a tax-advantaged purchase, such as California with Prop 13, where the cost basis is largely fixed and capped so that you're not paying taxes on the appreciation. We did that with our first house. We still have it as a rental. It is cash flow positive, and it is appreciating very nicely as well. And I think that's it. So, you know I don't normally do this, but for this particular video, if you like this video, if you want to see more of this type of content, please hit like, please subscribe, please comment below and let me know, and I can keep more of these coming. Thank you.